It's the Subway NFL postgame show, and much to the chagrin of our director, Tom Curley, the Miami Dolphins will not finish the season winless. They beat Baltimore 22-16 in overtime, 64 yards. Cleo Lemon to Greg Camarillo. And on the day where Miami honored the 72 Dolphins, they had something to be proud about. Sort of a victory here in 2007, 35 years later. Hey, how are you, folks? Jason Horowitz, NFL.com's Pat Kirwan in. Oh, boy, when you talk about this game, Baltimore with 12 seconds to go, 4th and goal on the half-yard line of Miami, decides to go for a field goal instead of the win and send it to overtime, as opposed to maybe punch it in with Willis McGahee. Yes. And they were able to run the ball all day. And then all of a sudden, they get the ball first, they drive down the field, Matt Stover misses a 44-yard field goal in overtime, and boom, just like that, Greg Camarillo, who came over with Cam Cameron from San Diego, is in the end zone, and Miami's in the win column.
First off, hats off to Miami. I was in your situation. It was, I think, week 14. Same thing as you, say 14th or 15th. And we were an 0-for team. We went to Arizona and won. So I know how you feel. It'll look like they won the Super Bowl, but what they did was they got that big old weight off their shoulders. A couple points that you made, I want to go explore a little deeper. The missed field goal by Stover. He's 5 for 5 going into this game in overtime field goals. The decision not to go for the touchdown, you're a team with 4 wins.
Yep. And had lost 6 in a row.
Right, and if you could see what Brian Billick was, you could read his lips on the sideline as his team was coming off with the ball on the inch line is, don't question my call, which meant the players, we all, let's go for it.
Yep.
So he'll be looked at, and it'll be under a microscope all week. And when all that settles down and we get past those decisions that'll be questioned, what we are looking at is a young quarterback that really, for the Baltimore fans and for the Baltimore coaches, there's going to be great excitement about how good is this kid, Troy Smith, because he came in that game today and managed that game.
And that's what it's going to come down to. Kyle Bowler left with what they called a shoulder injury, but well, you said they were looking at his head on the sideline. Maybe we'll see Troy Smith the next couple of weeks. He's their third-string quarterback. It went McNair, Bowler, Troy Smith. This is a late-round draft pick, a Heisman Trophy winner, a guy who's, because of his height, 5'11", if that. I've met him in person. Really, let's call it if that. Decent arm, but leadership. That's what you've got to have out of him.
Yeah, and he did a couple other things. Now, I will say this. Whether Bowler's healthy or not, with my situation, if I'm in Baltimore, just play Smith for the last 2 weeks. Get 8 quarters of football now under his belt and take a look at this guy, and so you can make a decision what you're going to do with McNair and Bowler as you go forward. So this is an opportunity at this point, and I think the players are going to want to see this kid on the field. Like to see him. You made a point about his athleticism. Absolutely there. He stumbles on a bootleg one time. Ball's coming out of his hand. He manages to hold the ball, big, strong hand on him, and almost go to the ground, puts the ball down towards the ground and balance himself, gets up, makes a play down the field. Comes back on the next play and throws you know how I like those slant routes.
Yep.
Little slant route inside, sticks it right in there. He's not as good as Tavares Jackson.
No, of course not. He's
your
favorite quarterback of all time, Tavares Jackson.
But I'm playing Smith the rest of the way, and I'm going to find out what it is. And I might tell my team this. We're in 4-down territory for the rest of the season. We'll go for it every time.
You know, truth be told, this is a great win for Miami in the fact that they're not going to join the Buccaneers as the only winless team. And they didn't join the Buccaneers as going 0-14 either. So they still, Tampa Bay, 76, you're still the worst team in NFL history. But, you know, the other part to this is you've got 2 coaches here. Cam Cameron, he has not had a vote of confidence. Brian Billick has, even though Baltimore has lost a franchise record 7 consecutive games. When you look at this and this season is over, do you see 2 new coaches in both these places, or do you see no new coaches in either?
I probably see no new coach in either place. I think they're both on thin ice for the future, but I think both of them will be back next year. You know, Miami's got a lot of emotion right now, positive and negative. They came into this game, everyone doubting each other, everyone pointing fingers. The owner's going to sell the team. The owner had tears in his eyes in the owner's box at the end of the game. That tells me he still has great emotion for this team, great passion for this team. He'll settle down on the for sale sign and take that off the front lawn, if you will. Now, the other part of this is when you explore the Dolphins objectively, they lost 6 games by 3 points or less. You could start to see ways this thing could turn around.
It's an overhaul for Miami. Maybe it starts next year. They did not lock up the #1 overall pick. That is not a guarantee yet for the Dolphins, although one more loss along the way here.
Nobody wants it, folks.
Although one more loss along the way here, and they will have that #1 pick. And, of course, next week, it's New England, so we can lock up the #1 pick for the Miami Dolphins for the next year's draft. Darren McFadden, if you decide to declare, start packing your bags for South Florida. Folks, for more on this game or any other here in Week 15, be sure to stay with CBSSports.com and watch everything else on the CBS Audience Network. For NFL.com's Pat Kirwan, I'm Jason Horowitz. I do not think Tavares Jackson is the best quarterback of all time, but this man does.
I didn't say that. That's slant route.